Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deal Scout. This is take number 2 because I messed up the first time. On today's show, we're going to talk about escaping corporate, escaping the W-2. Like we're on this rat race and we're trying to gain something. Today, we're going to have a conversation with Maurice, who has done that and has come back to share his journey. Maurice, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, my man, Josh. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what are you up to?
Yeah, man. So my name is Maurice Philogene. I am based in the Washington, D.C. area. I split my time with the Mediterranean. Born in New York, raised in Boston, but came to D.C. via University of Virginia. I am an investor entrepreneur, if you will. Real estate is my main hustle, but outside of that, and that's been a couple of decades, but outside of that, 25-year senior executive at a global consulting firm, street cop, federal agent, military officer, restaurant owner, a bunch of things across the spectrum because I love the word and instead of or, like we were talking about. But that's who Maurice is in a nutshell.
Yeah. So what are you, like 107 years old, like 25 years as a federal and then street cop and then in corporate? Like, how old are you, man?
I'm only 46, man, but you'll find ways to do things if you really want to do it. I just never took no for an answer if I wanted to get something done.
Okay. So take us back. All right. So how do you want to start this journey, this conversation? Do you want to talk about street cop, federal agent, or real estate or corporate? Like, where do you want to start the journey?
Man, I think for probably the majority of people out there, I'll just go to the beginning because I think it's worth it. I'm an immigrant kid. My family's Haitian. We were never poor or anything, but we were broke all the time. But my parents pushed education, which was awesome. So when I got out of university at University of Virginia, I went right into corporate when I was age 21. But I had this notion of freedom from the beginning just by picking up a book. That freedom manifested itself in the form of passive income. I found real estate, bought my first place. It appreciated by 30 grand in 3 months in 2002. There was the beginning of a boom cycle. And then I went to the library. There was no Google back then. And I read 10 books. And by the end of the year, I had bought 10 to 12 more single family homes. And that started this journey of real estate. But I was always in the IT consulting world with Accenture. I was also a military officer in the United States Air Force through my reserve service, where I was a federal agent, think NCIS, but the Air Force version of it. But in all of these parallel careers, the notion of freedom and controlling my time and doing what I want, when I want, how I want, never left me, ever left me. And my 46-year-old self is thanking my 23-year-old self for taking steps towards that.
You mentioned a book that kind of like catapulted you into this. What was that book that you got your hands on?
So the funny thing is, you remember the series For Dummies?
Yeah.
So it was just personal finance for dummies that I read. And there was one passage in there, I need to go find it. There was one passage in there that talked about passive income. And that was it. It sparked something. And there's certain assets in life that will create passive income, which divorces your need to physically be somewhere to make money. I just started researching the crap out of it in my early 20s. I didn't care if the fellas and the ladies were going out on the weekend. I preferred to figure out what that was, how to execute on it. But that book started my journey.
It was a book for dummies.
And it was a book for dummies. I'm happy to be a dummy, for sure.
But here we are, right?
Yeah.
So you retired this year from corporate.
Retired from Accenture this year. Yep.
And the military.
Retired military in October of 2019.
Okay.
But retired from being a street cop this year on September 30th as well.
Wow. So you're like a professional retiree.
Yeah, in the sense, but I'm busier than ever. But yeah, in a sense, it was time this year. I don't have time to make money via the W-2 anymore.
Yeah,
I needed to use my time for other things in life at this point.
Yeah. All right. So when you retired from that first job, right? Talk us through like what was going through your head, because you had 3 jobs, man: street, federal, and corporate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So talk to us about your first retirement. What was that like, and what was going through your head? Fears, insecurities, hopes?
Oh man, you don't realize how much it becomes a part of your DNA. You just don't. And to put it all into context, real estate, I created enough passive income via single family residences by 2014. I had more income coming in from real estate than I did my job. So I could have left in 2014. I never wanted to. I was enjoying what I was doing. The challenge of it made sense. I flipped into multifamily on the real estate side, but stayed corporate. What changed now this year was that I needed the time. The fear of shifting, it hurt me, man, to be honest, because one, I enjoyed helping clients. There's nothing wrong with the W-2 for those who are being entrepreneurs and all that stuff. I don't necessarily believe in the concept of burning the boats and ditching everything. No, I stayed with my careers for years, but you don't realize how much it gets ingrained into what you do on a daily basis. Here's the funny thing. I knew that we are all cogs in this game that we do, but the void of me started to fill with other people 1 month before I was even gone, right away. Minimalization, people know you're leaving, it doesn't matter anymore. So it was just a shift, but I give all credit to that company for giving me a certain amount of revenue over 25 years that I put to work in other areas. So it was a good thing.
All right. So the day you went to turn in your notice.
Yeah.
Talk us about that day.
It was tough, but fortunately I had built really strong relationships where the person that I had worked for 7 years, I was actually going to just quit. The person I worked for 7 years made some arrangements and helped me get a little bit of a severance on my way out the door and all these types of things. But you don't realize how much it's going to mess with you until you step out. And it did hurt me for a little bit.
Yeah. So, I was a firefighter medic, and like one of the hardest things for me, because I retired took an early retirement, put it all on black, tried to build some fitness technology companies and work in investments and such. But the hardest thing for me was to step away from the identity of being a firefighter medic. I'd go somewhere and be like, oh, Josh, firefighter, right? And it was just like coolest job. And it was fun. I loved the brotherhood. I love kicking doors down, delivering babies, eating smoke and such. But that was tough for me. But I knew that I was a part of my purpose and my calling. Day after retirement, what was going through your head?
Who am I? Even with all this other stuff I had going on, street cop, I was still, no, I had left that by now, but I had built all these other personas, being a street cop, being a military officer, being an investor entrepreneur. I'm a traveler of 100 countries, right? And so people know me in that sense as well. I had all these different things, but I had that corporate gig since I was 21. So it was the one thing that tied me back to college days that I still had. So without it, you feel a little bit lost for a certain period of time, but it's totally faded now. I'm good to go.
Yeah, you're good to go. You're like, all right, peace. Now, when you wake up or walking down the street and you hear the cop cars go by with lights and sirens, what are you like? All right, go get them, boys. Like, I'm glad to be out of that game.
No, I still look. I still look to see, because you just get so used to backing your fellas up. And I still live in the community where I was patrolling. Yeah. Right. So I still see the same fellas and ladies out on the road. When I hear those sirens, I'm like, oh, does someone need me? But to be honest, once I left, I can't imagine going back in the car now. Like I'm just a different person at this point, Yeah. But it was a hell of a ride while I was doing it.
Did you have a nickname? What did people call you?
Yeah. They call me Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry from Bad Boys, so it was Will Smith's character.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of figured out that I was this entrepreneur guy, and why the hell was I a street cop if I was making all this money doing other stuff or whatever. So my nickname was Mike Lowry. Oh, Mike Lowry's at work today and stuff. He doesn't even need to be here, but he shows up.
Yeah. Him and Martin, man, they made a fantastic duo.
They did.
Did you have a cool partner?
The best. I mean, and we don't like where I live in the DC area, we ride in our own cars. We have our own take homes and all that. So we're always in the car by ourselves. But I had a particular shift They will listen to this. They know who they are. 3rd District, Shift 8. I am as tight with those men and women as I was from day one. Just went to my boy's wedding down in Florida. So my partners are still out there doing it, but we're still together like once every few weeks or what have you.
Very cool. All right. So you got one retirement under the belt. You're like, man, that felt kind of good. You got 2 more to go. What was the next one on deck?
Well, so the first one was military in October of 19. That was rough. Because it's purposeful. You know, you're a firefighter, it's purposeful.
Yeah.
The second one was the police on September 30th of this year. I cried on that one.
Yeah.
Because I never became a street cop for the money. I became a street cop because I wanted to do something meaningful in my community. So when you take away that special authority that's given to you by the local government or the people or whatever, that's a little bit difficult because you're used to having the authority to affect change in a unique way, right? And everybody in my community knows I never did it for the money. They knew I wanted to be there. So when it wasn't taken from me, but the environment shifted. It didn't make sense for me to be out there anymore. So I decided to go. So I jumped because Quattro, which I'm sure we'll talk about, kicked in quite a bit. And then Accenture was the last, pin to fall. And all this stuff happened in less than a 2-year period, man. It was one hell of a shift in all of it.
Yeah, sure. Now we'll get you on one of our other shows where we'll talk about big boys crying and bad boys crying.
Yeah, no doubt.
But this is the Deal Scout, so we'll talk about deals and we'll leave.
Let's talk deals.
Yeah. All right. So Quattro.
Yeah.
What's that mean, man? How'd you come up with the name Quattro Capital? What's that mean to you?
Quattro Capital is the real estate investment firm that I started with then 3 partners. So it's 4 of us. Now there's actually 5 of us. Quattro is for our 4 pillars: people, property, profits, and philanthropy. I started investing in multifamily real estate, apartment complexes, large scale. So for example, we closed on a 276 unit, 2 complex portfolio yesterday in Evansville, Indiana, $25 million. For that $25 million purchase, we raised 11 from private investors and then took loans or debt for the rest of the property. We will execute on a business plan to improve it. It's not at a quality it should be. We'll spend probably around $15,000 to $18,000 a unit, which is very high, but there's a reason we're doing it in this case. And then we'll exit that property somewhere in the 4 to 5 year period, likely in the low $40 million range based on our business plan. So that is Quattro Capital in a nutshell. Researching markets, finding a market that's about to emerge, then shaking the trees and finding the right property in that market. Everything's about markets and economy. People need to have increasing salaries to support the rents and things of that nature. And then you sell that property at a profit, having improved the quality of life for those residents. So that is what Quattro Capital does.
So Quattro is 4. So 5, but now you have 5 partners. Do you have to go through this name brand change? Because
no, people think it was for the 4 partners originally, but it was actually for our 4 pillars on how we operate: people, property, profits, and philanthropy.
Got it. Okay. So being, would you consider yourself a syndicator?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys manage the properties or do you guys bring in a local property management company? How do you typically work within that?
Yeah, so we rely on third-party property management. We don't have our own internal one. We're not interested in having our own internal one. This goes to the life aspect stuff. We created Quattro Capital kind of as a lifestyle business for ourselves. It is growing. We do have a lot of investors now, well into the hundreds of investors, but we are going to maintain it at a certain level where it is a comfortable thing. One of the things we always say internally, we want Quattro to happen for us, not to us, right? I don't want to be overly busy. I want to be busy for the right reasons. But we use third-party property manager.
That's cool. All right. So how you started doing this for yourself? 2014, you're making more, right? So Robert Kiyosaki would say you broke the rat race in terms of your passive income exceeds your active income, your earned income.
Yep.
So you could have quit in 2014, but you hang on because you enjoyed the ride.
Yep.
Right. So when you cracked that nut in 2014, how did that impact you in the way you showed up to work or the way you showed up to deals?
You know what, happened, Josh? I recognized that I had more money than I needed to live. But then when you have a certain amount of money, or you have money to live, you start to realize that life is beyond money. I had enough, but I wasn't fulfilled just by having enough money. I needed more challenge. And that was the shift. So the 160, 170 grand of passive was coming from single family. I could press repeat on that and keep executing that strategy. But I knew I needed something different to grow as a person. The natural extension of that was multifamily. So I did a couple of apartment complexes on my own, 2 mobile home communities. And then I was at a real estate conference one day. I saw this woman speaking on a stage. She is my now partner, Erin Hudson. I donated $5,000 to her charity. She was building homes in Nicaragua because I do a lot of charitable stuff. We stayed in touch for a year. And then she called me one day and said, hey, I got these amazing people. Would you mind sponsoring us for a multifamily deal? I had the net worth, liquidity, and experience to do it. I sponsored them. That deal went swimmingly. And then we decided to stick together, form Quattro, and here we are 2 years later.
All right. What does swimmingly mean? I have not heard that in deal flow yet.
Everything just went well. Like, we were going with the flow, not a lot of friction. That deal, it was a 36-unit deal. It closed in 2-month time frame, which is fairly quick for this type of stuff. And everyone just naturally took on roles and responsibilities. It just worked, man. And then we just realized we liked each other as people, same values. So we stuck, right? And we've done 21 apartment complexes in 2 years. And this year alone, I think we just got to 100 million in under 12 months together.
So, all right. So say that again. Talk to us about numbers. Those are pretty big milestones.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic, but it was organic. I want to stress that we weren't like, oh man, we need to have hyper growth immediately. No, not at all. But we did 21 complexes in under 2 years, and then and the reason why the 21 complexes did include some smaller complexes that we did up front and what have you. Now the typical size for us is anywhere between 25 and 30 million. We did about 100 million this year so far in under 12 months, and we have maybe 4 or 5 of those in the pipeline for 2022. So it's going really well.
So let me ask you this question, right? Like, you got your government pension, you got your police pension, you've got corporate pension, you've got passive income coming in through real estate. Why the heck keep going with Quattro? Why not kick your feet up and go sit on a beach drinking Mai Tais?
Man, because goals goals shift and purpose shifts. I mentioned to you off mic, I subscribe to freedom principles, right? Financial freedom, time freedom, geographic freedom. That has to do with my travels. But there's 2 other freedoms: freedom of purpose, freedom of relationships. The purpose piece. My purpose now is I'm a public servant like you. I have a public servant mindset. I'm a military guy and I'm a police guy. Even in consulting, you're serving the public. My clients were government agencies like the US Forest Service, right? I loved being a part of that. I have legacy and philanthropy goals now, and I can go to the soup kitchen and feed someone, which is nice, or I can create mass amounts of wealth and impact communities for a decade, which is what I want to do. So I am on a plane on Tuesday back to the Mideast. I spent a lot of time. I have some real estate development stuff going on in Cyprus, which is right there in the Mideast. But I spent a lot of time in Lebanon, for example, and I will donate a certain amount of money to deserving families hand to hand. And I can do that because I'm creating significant amounts of wealth for me to go execute. I don't need a lot to live on. I'm still looking at my 2005 Infinity outside my house. Now I get why, like the what's his name, Bill Gates Foundation, and giving away all this money and stuff. You just start to realize it's all fleeting. What you want to do before you leave this planet, because we're all leaving, is impact people. So that's why I stick with Quattro. I can impact a lot of people if I keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, bad boy Will Smith did not drive a 2005 Infinity. Why,
Ah, he
why,
did.
why not a Lamborghini? Why is that not important?
That's not even one. That's not my style. Two, if I was going to go buy a $300,000 Lamborghini, I think it's irresponsible. I would probably take that 300,000, buy a $30,000 car, and invest the 270 to go create some wealth and go do something good with it.
Mhm.
That's just who I am. That does not mean it's wrong to buy a toy. Nah, man, go buy your toy. Go be happy. It just doesn't resonate with me. In fact, it's funny that you say that because when I do look at that 2005, it is a kind of a symbol of who I am. You know, it's been paid off for years, and then I just use the revenue to buy some other asset to go do something else, or even secure my family for the future. So, but ain't nothing wrong with toys, man. I like toys too.
What kind of toys do you like as a deal maker?
Here's my toys. My toy is travel. I
Yeah,
don't
a
skimp on
hundred
travel.
companies that, or 100 countries,
Yeah.
like that's a lot of countries you've traveled
It
to.
is 100 countries, over 300 times. I don't skimp on travel. I don't travel as a tourist. When I travel, I do so to immerse myself in culture, meet people. My key performance indicators are: do I know the taxi driver? Are people going to pick me up at the airport the next time I roll through town? Did I learn something about the local economy, the local culture, and the history there? That's kind of how I roll. So, like Lebanon on Tuesday, when I go, this is my 16th time going there in 2 years. So I don't skimp.
What languages do you speak?
Yeah, I speak French, Haitian Creole, and Portuguese.
In English. You're pretty
And
good at
English.
English.
Yes, I
Okay.
got 4 under the belt.
Got it. All right. So out of all the places you traveled, let me
Yeah.
ask you this question. Food. Like where's the best food like you traveled around?
Oh, by far the entire Mediterranean region, by far. Lebanon, Greece, southern Turkey, Cyprus, where I spend a lot of time now. The food is just outrageously good for sure.
Yeah, yeah, so good. So fresh. So good.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel good when you eat it. It's not like, how we pick something up at McDonald's or something. It always tastes good at the beginning. And then like a half hour later, you feel like crap and you just
Mhm.
wish you were on a treadmill or something. Food's always fresh and clean and good.
Yeah. All right. So you and I are going on a philanthropy trip, right?
Yep.
I just sold my business. You just, had your 17th retirement and you just closed, your 10,000, door AUM, whatever. Right. But you and I are going on a philanthropy tour.
Yeah.
What kind of missions should you and I focus on? We got buku's money. Where should what kind of problems do you want to solve in the world?
Communities that don't have a voice. That's it. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing in Lebanon right now is because there's a lot of people there who don't have a voice and never will. You and I can take it. It can be 10 grand, it could be 100 grand, but it can also be $1,000. If we take that money and go to let's say the black market in Lebanon and change that for Lebanese pounds, right? Because you don't want to deal with the Lebanese banking system right now. It's really bad. We can affect someone's decade, like decade, right? So I try and find people. I'm not much of the give my money to a charitable organization and let them do what they do. This is just my value. Other people, it's fine. But what matters to me selfishly, I like to see the emotion that wealth that I created can cause for a family to do something different. So I'll find a community in Djibouti, Africa. I'll find a community in DC, a community in Lebanon, and I would just focus on them for a while and direct hand to hand. Here's cash for you to go deal with this problem and support your family. And the response from it is awesome. And I am grateful that I can do stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So you have 5 partners in Quattro.
Yep.
What's your superpower in the group? Like you're like, all right, guys, here's where I could show up and here's how I impact the group.
I got 2. Aaron, my partner, said all the time. I got 2 superpowers. One, I can relate to anybody. So I deal with investors. My role is investor relations, or me spending time with someone like Josh. The superpower is, you just heard my background, right? Corporate, entrepreneur, cop. I come from blue collar, white collar, no collar. I can speak to the CEO, the 4-star general, or a homeless dude sitting on the street having a mental health crisis. Doesn't matter. So that's superpower number one. Superpower number two there is helping people escape the W-2, create financial freedom through passive income. I love strategizing with people, and that's why they tend to invest with Quattro, because they can use Quattro as a tool. So that is my two superpowers at Quattro.
All right, you and me get to hang out with Will Smith, right? And his partner Martin, right? But we get to drive around with them, and we get to ask them some questions. What questions would you ask the bad boys?
On the police side or on the acting side?
Whatever you want, man. Anything about Will, right? Because that's your doppelganger. That's what they call it when they're like, that's it. What would you ask Will?
What's next? What's next on his journey? And what's the journey about for him? Because I do have a fundamental belief now that once you get a certain amount of money, it's like there's not much difference between 10 million and 20 million. You have the resources to do stuff. I'm always curious about people who are hyper wealthy, how they think about that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will and Martin have maintained their relevance for a long time. I'm curious how they think about that stuff. So I'd be asking them how they kind of keep themselves in the mix, if you will.
Yeah. All right. So then after we hang out with them, we do a deal, right?
Yeah.
They invest in a project with us. We impact a community, and then we go hang out. What would be a hangout? Like, what would be something that you're like, hey boys, let me take you to a place. Let me share an experience with you. Would it be a coffee shop, a restaurant? Would it be a location that we have to jump in the plane to get to? Like,
you know what? It could be both. I mean, the simplest answer is, yo, man, let's go down the street to the bar and let's kick it. Because that's fun too, because you get to know each other, you shoot the breeze and stuff like that. But if I go back to my superpowers, I got networks of people all over this planet. So if I want to bring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence to the Finnish Arctic to spend some time with the native Swami people, I know a lot of people up there. You know what I mean? So I would want to give someone an experience that they can't buy. In all these years of travel and connecting meaningfully with people, I have that ability. So I would take them somewhere like that.
Yeah, super cool. All right. So you and we're going on a philanthropy trip to build communities and impact people, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, I subscribe to a similar thing. I give money to charities, but man, what I love doing is creating machines for either charities, philanthropy groups, or people. Like, I like investing to get a return. Not necessarily that I need it, but I want that machine to keep going for them.
Right? Yes. Oh, right. To leave something that's still working after you go. Right.
So you and I doing this, let's just say through Quattro Capital, right? Yeah. What would that look like? So you're sitting, you're in investor relations and you're like, here's our 4 pillars. And one of them's philanthropy. Here's what we're doing. All right, investor relations, you're the guy for that. Like, how do you explain your mission and purpose to, an investor? I've got 100 million to invest. How do you parlay that, putting those pieces together, those pillars together for the investor?
Yeah, well, it's the goals, right? 100 million is a lot of money. People don't invest 100 million lightly. There is a goal behind it. It might be a cash flow goal, might be an equity goal, might be a legacy goal for their family. Whatever it is, you got to figure that out. And then here's how the 4 pillars work. People. Everything is about our people, man. So to include that investor, what is it you need? And let's figure out how we can address that. The properties, I'm not a slumlord. I don't buy properties for the sake of getting as much money out of someone as I can. Now, we got to improve the quality of life for them too. So it's got to be the right properties to create the right profit, such that the investor can get his goal met. And then, of course, we'll take some of that profit and apply it to whatever philanthropic thing he or she may want to accomplish. But that is how we think of the life cycle of money through those 4 pillars.
So I'm an investor and I go, hey, listen, man, I don't care about philanthropy at all.
I got those too.
Yeah, like I don't give a shit about that. Like I'm all about money. What's your typical thoughts or responses to that?
Yeah, my response is our goal, our target is to at minimum double that investor's money within 5 years. We're probably doing it in the 2 to 3 year range right now. Just because, remember I said, part of what we do is research markets and understand where emerging markets are. The way that these deals work, when you create a business plan to improve the property, that's forced appreciation because you're making the rents go up. But the market can also naturally appreciate. But if you can get those two working at the same time, that's big stuff, right? So we're making the money grow way faster than most just by finding a property anywhere.
All right. So I'm bringing us back to the streets. I'm looking at a picture on the Quattro Way. So the website, the Quattro Way, there's 2 T's in that. And there, if you go to about the team and you go to Maurice, and if you scroll to the end of the pictures, you see him. No. You see you in uniform, and you're walking through. Bro, you look angry. You look like you're on a mission, man. Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what have you learned?
Yeah.
As you know, special. What were you doing in the military? Special something.
I was a special agent, a federal agent.
Right, so special agent, and on the street as a cop. How does that and what you've learned over there and in corporate, screw corporate for a second, just on the special side and on the street side, how does that parlay into deal making? What kind of value? What did you learn there that makes you a better deal maker?
Police, military, fire, we're all trained and build a muscle to run towards danger. Like, I'm not afraid. I've been doing that stuff for so long. If you told me right now that there's a burglar in my neighbor's house, I would just go inside the house and go get him or her. That's just who I am. So when you tell me, are you afraid to sign a $30 million loan? Are you afraid to go after this deal? Are you afraid to? No. I've had bullets fired my way, guns pointed at me. Been in fights with 3 people on one. Like, I was the one and they were 3. I've had to wait for my partners to come. I chased the car into a neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning. There were 3 of them in the car. Each person had a gun. That car crashed. I had to wait for my partners to get there for about 75 seconds. That was the longest 75 seconds of my life. And there was pucker factor, you know what I'm saying? So when you tell me, are you worried about a deal? And no, because I've seen the worst of the worst, whether it was through police work or military being deployed or whatever. Nothing phases me anymore.
So thank you for your service. I stand and salute you. I embrace you, and I love you, and I thank you for what you did, and our fellow service, people and frontline workers. Like, I love you all. Thank you so much for sacrificing your lives. So thank you, Maurice. I appreciate you. Yeah. All right. So with this and what you're building, like what does winning look like? How, what's the next goal for Maurice, man? You crush it, man. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
What's the end goal?
Well, there is no end goal. It just keeps going, dude. The end goal is to live life extremely well and continue to grow. I've been in DC for a long time. Remember I said I was splitting time in the Mediterranean?
Yeah.
When I ran a federal agent field office for my agency in 2015 in Turkey, I fell in love with the Mediterranean region. There was something about it. It just resonates with me, right? But I don't want to go there and be like the American dude who shows up and sits in the restaurant and all that type of stuff. I wanted to be part of the community and like a business person and stuff. So through relationship after relationship and searching, I now have a business partner who's from Cyprus. I'm in Cyprus all the time, and we're developing real estate on the island. Now, check this out. I'm an immigrant kid from Boston who grew up with damn near nothing from the inner city. I am now developing real estate in Cyprus. That is crazy. This is what can happen in the journey, right? You're asking me what's next. I am fulfilling my own personal dream of being that guy who develops stuff on an island in the Mediterranean. Not once did I even say, oh, I'm trying to make 30 million. No. I just want to do something different before I punch off this planet, right? So that is the next step for me, is making that a larger enterprise, because it matters to me to be a part of what's going on over there.
You know what you are? Bad boy. That's what you are, man. You're a bad
Mike
boy.
Lowry.
That's right. All right. Yeah. So with what you're building, you've got some kids, right?
Yeah. I got two boys.
All right. So with what you're learning, what are the most important things that you're teaching them through what you've learned and what you're learning?
Yeah. One, you can define your own path. My oldest really knows this, and my oldest is 21 from a previous, and my current is 8. They have picked
up. That's a spread, bro.
Yeah, dude. I was broke as a joke when I had my first. I'll tell you that one.
Yeah.
They have picked up for me that dad does not subscribe to what society tells him to do. I never have. Hey, you're supposed to be the CEO if you're going to be successful. That's not true. Whatever makes you happy, go do that. Biggest thing that they've picked up though is it's really important to learn how to make a dollar grow. It's not about having tons of money. It's about having tons of options. And what capital does is gives us options to live life as intended, or to help someone, or to back Josh's podcast and media enterprise, or whatever it is you want to do. But that skill set, the ability to make money grow, is one of the most important skill sets in the world, and we're not going to get it in formal education ever. So in my house, we sit down, we play Monopoly, we play the Rich Dad Poor Dad game.
So good.
You got to. And then I challenge both of my kids to figure out how we can send $1 out and for it to come back with 2 or 3 friends later. That's what my boys have picked up from me.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's good. I have a 8, 4, and a 1. And my 8-year-old and 4-year-old, we play Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I'm busy.
Like it hurt when you said that because they're all so close to each other.
Yeah,
busy. But it's beautiful, man. We need them.
Yeah, we need them. We need them to do the laundry.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but all right. So as we're teaching our kids, what are the you mentioned the 4 pillars in the business. What are some pillars in character that you believe are important for your kids to know?
Yeah, integrity. My integrity is intact, like really intact. I think the last time I did something stupid or illegal or catty or whatever, I might have been in my late teens or something like that, right? I sleep really, really well at night. Yeah. Integrity is a big deal, or just being honest. I'm sorry, I'll throw that money thing right back in there. You have to learn how to make money grow. I'm gonna leave it right there. Like I don't care what you do in life. Just be honest, be a good human, and learn how to make money grow. That's all I ask of my kids at this point. If they wanna, I told them I expect neither. My oldest finished college, but my youngest, I don't expect him to go to college. You can, I will support it, but the only expectation I have is you're a good human and you learn how to make money grow. That way you can take care of yourself, because me and your mama ain't gonna do it when you get into your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Simple things. I keep things simple in my house.
If I picked up your phone and I looked through, like, what are the resources or songs? Actually, let's start with songs. What song is like #1 on your playlist where you just keep going back to this song?
Man, you catching me, dog. It's not a song in particular, it's style of music. All right, so the first thing is anything Jay-Z I listen to.
All right.
That's my guy. And mind you, he's probably my guy because of what he accomplished, not necessarily his music, but if you listen to his words, there's a blueprint in there, right?
I'm not a businessman. I'm a business
man. Yeah, my boy. So Jay's it, and then the Mediterranean introduced me to Summer House, a little bit of Calvin Harris, Kygo.
I like Calvin.
Listen, the way I grew up, that's not what we were listening to. We was hip hop, little jazz, even a little classical. I played violin growing up. I never knew about this house music or summer house or nice vibes or floating on the water in the summer. And it's just happy music. Yeah. It just always makes you happy. So I'm constantly listening to house music from the Mediterranean, as if I was in Ibiza or the Greek islands or something like that. That stuff is always on my playlist.
Yeah. Now, do you walk around with the clothing, when you go over there, do you dress, in the clothing that they wear, or do you just kind of bring US over there?
I don't even really think people are curious where I'm from sometimes when I go different places, because my other languages will show up and stuff. But I'm the t-shirt, jeans, boots guy. Like, I'm not really a fancy cat at all. I just kind of blend into wherever I'm at.
Yeah, that's a superpower, man. It sounds like we have similar superpowers. Billionaire or homeless person, we're going to connect with them. And
100%.
Yeah, no, I think that You're a fellow brother of kindred spirit, I guess you would say.
My man.
Yeah. So, all right. So we get to go on a fun adventure,
Sure.
right? Fun. All right. So food's over Mediterranean. Fun. Where are we going to go in the world? You've been to 100 countries. Where are we going to go to have some fun? Like what stands out?
I am doing it. I missed it last month because I was sick, but I am doing it January 22nd. Me and a couple of friends, we rented a catamaran sailing boat, and we are going to be sailing in the Caribbean Sea for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's going to be a shit show. I was supposed to be doing that in French Polynesia in late November, and I got sick and I couldn't go. But there is something about like having experience with your friends, your boys, your girls, drinking a few if you want, or not, that's okay too. Docking, getting off, talking to locals, coming back, shooting the breeze together, going again. I don't want to be an adult. And I think you know where I'm coming from. Like, we can do all this responsible stuff, build these businesses. It's important. These deals are very important. But the moment I stop being a kid and doing stuff like that, then I'm done on this planet. So I gotta go have fun. And it happens quite often, at least once a month, if not twice a month, doing something.
Are you going to do any like deep sea fishing where you dive down and, with a spear and some?
Nah.
Are you a swimmer? Can you swim good?
I'm a swimmer. I am not a diver. I respect the ocean and what exists in there. I don't go down there.
Did they did the sharks scare you? Are you going to watch the movie Jaws before you go?
Yeah, hell no, I'm not gonna watch that movie, man. I jump in the water and get right out of it. I don't mess with them. I have just a profound respect for this planet. You're not gonna catch me running around the bush in Africa. You're not gonna catch me under the sea in Australia. It's not gonna happen. But I respect it in a big way.
Yeah. Now you probably have some spidey senses, like when you're in an area, or even actually at the deal table, you probably have some spidey senses, and you're like, this guy's lying to me. This gal's lying to me. This
all the time.
All right, give us some signs. Like, teach us deal makers how to spot a fraud, how to spot a lie.
It is an inherent skill. It probably came from the way that I grew up, but also the formal schools that I went to for federal law enforcement and running sources and liaising with foreign agencies and all that type of stuff. You can just feel it. And you can feel when people don't have integrity. I'd rather pay more and work with someone who has integrity than pay less and work with an idiot. You're right.
That's so true.
When they have no values and no goals, to me, it shines right through, and you can see it. They never show up. Their word is not their bond. They'll say one thing, you drive by the property, it's something totally different. You give me 1 or 2 clues of that nature, and I will shut a deal off, because I am a steward of my investors' money. I'm a fiduciary. If I have any inkling that something is up, I can't rightfully continue with that deal because somebody worked 2 years to save up $100 grand for their kids' college education that they're trying to invest. Yeah. Can't do it, right? So I don't know. It's not a particular thing, my man, but it's I think people just know. You know what I mean? I would run from those types of people. Oh, one last thing. And for the people who are squeezing every last rat cent out of every deal, like, I gotta get the top to top. Oh my God. Bro, relax. There's so much money in this world. There's so much to be shared with the seller, with the buyer. Everybody can win. Stop being that you have to be the number one for every single thing. In fact, chances are, if you treat that person right, another deal will come back around and you'll work together again.
Yeah. There's a saying in deal making: pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
100%.
Right.
I've seen it. There's
so many deals. There's so many opportunities, and like, someone gets in a deal and they, they'll fight, they'll claw at every single point. And I just don't. Here's the thing. I had someone, we syndicate a lot of deals through our broker, and we had someone. They say, "How much do you typically charge?" And I started telling them. They go, "Oh, that's too much." And I go, "Done. not doing business with someone who the first thing that they say out of their mouth is,
That's too
I'm
much.
too expensive.
Right. What is the value what is the value that you are getting from Josh? That's what matters to me. It's not the price. Tell me what I'm going to get for that. That's what I'm getting. I'm in all day long. People looking at just the dollar signs, that's a problem.
Because the thing is if I have to convince them the first time, and I've done this before, I've spent so much time convincing someone of a value, and then I have to keep convincing them of that value in perpetuity.
Yep.
But for someone who gets it,
yeah, nickel and diming, it gets us nowhere, man. Just get the deal done, make less, be happy, make everybody win, high five, do a deal again the next year, right? It's an abundance
100
mindset.
deals, right?
Yeah, it's an abundance mindset, bro.
Would you consider yourself a deal junkie?
Yeah, a little bit, right? My deals tend to be very purposeful, but the more deals I do, the more goals I can get out of it, the more I get smiles from different investors, the more residents I have. In many cases, more is not better.
Yeah.
The style that we're doing at Quattro and that I do on my own for my own personal things, I like more because I'm doing it the right way. And I got a $50 million check that I wrote to myself. I'm not kidding.
Put and Josh on that.
And Josh. Oh, I do have it here.
Yeah, let's see it.
It's all jacked up, but I wrote this to I'll cover the account number.
Yeah,
I wrote this to myself years ago.
That's a lot of zeros.
It's a lot of zeros, bro. And I'll cash this. But you're like, are you a deal junkie? Yeah. I want to cash this check and I want to write another one that has nine numbers on it. You know,
from 2 commas to 3 commas.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not you and me? You know what I'm saying?
I like deals.
I'm not taking anyone else's definition for success. I'm going to create my own, right? So
and we can't take it to the grave, especially you've been on the street, you've seen a lot of life and death. You've seen rich people die
quickly,
and you've seen poor people die
quickly.
Let me ask that. So I say this a lot to people, and I don't think a lot of people understand it if they've never been in the back of an ambulance or never been on the street, like putting up tape. When someone's on their deathbed, have you ever heard someone talk about, I wish I made more money?
No. Nope. I wish I would have got the next title. Nope. I wish I had that next certification. Nope. All they're talking about is their family, their kids, and I wish I would have done more of travel, eating good food, ask that girl out, ask that guy out. It's always the life stuff, you know. Oh, and I got it from admittedly got it from Gary Vaynerchuk when he said, go spend time at a retirement home. I went and spent time at a retirement home because I heard him say it on a podcast. I volunteered there for 3 days and I just started talking to residents, white collar, blue collar, no collar. And there was some bangers in there, meaning business-wise, life-wise. One lady had 8 kids, but she was in there by herself. Her kids didn't really come see her, which was sad. You want to see regret? Go in there. And not one of them ever talked about the things you talked about. They were talking about, I can't believe I was afraid to get on planes. I never saw the world. I wasn't kind to my neighbor. I didn't ask Betty out when I should have asked her out 65 years ago. It is powerful, bro. And then you start to realize, I don't want those things. So I spend time with people who are 20 years my senior because that's where I'm always headed. So I'm 46. My neighbors are in their low 70s. I am always talking with them because they are where you and I are going, right? And they know the mistakes that they made. So I listen to them and then some. But money's never talked about.
Money's never yet. No. Now it's a tool, right? Zig Ziglar.
It's a tool. It's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to get all pious and stuff. Money's a good thing. We need it. We can do amazing things with it. You want to do things for yourself? Do it. You earned it. You want to buy toys? Do it. You earned it. You want to impact communities? Do it. You've earned it. But I will tell you at the end of all this, and I'm very aware, because on average, you and I have 28,000 days on this planet, and I have 11,200 and some left. I'm not going to waste it. I know that I want to impact people so that I can smile on my way out, and I can have 300 people show up in my funeral. No one's going to give a shit if I have $100 million sitting in the bank at all, right? But I do like doing deals because I can do more for myself, my family, my community, society, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Dude, I love deals and I love businesses because I get to interact with people.
Yes,
I could
that's a
speak to
wonderful
people.
aspect.
I could have fun with people. I could change lives. I could be a part of something that impacts their world and the
Yep.
100 employees that they have. Right. So like this is our purpose. This is what we do. Um, Maurice, man, I love you, man. You're cool.
Thanks, bro.
For people listening in, investors, syndicators, real estate pros, people who add value, maybe people who are sitting on some multifamily, where can people
Yeah.
find you and do a deal with you?
Yeah. So 3 places, okay? LinkedIn, just Maurice Philogene. Instagram, life related stuff. All this stuff supports life. So Maurice Philogene there. From a business perspective, I'll just put my email out. It's Maurice at the Quattro Way, TheQuattroway, thequattroway.com, which is the website too, thequattroway.com. And just click the link, send me a note. I love talking about all this stuff, partnering, sharing ideas. So please track me down.
Cool. Hey, man, what question do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't ask? Or actually, that's a question that I typically ask. What question do you wish Bad Boy would ask you? Will Smith and Martin, they're hanging out and they get to ask you a question, but you get to like share your thoughts. And what question do you wish they would ask you?
What would they ask me? Was it worth it? I wish they would. The character that Will plays and the character that Martin plays. You ever notice on there how they always say we're going to retire and leave this shit, but they never do? There is something about being in uniform and being in that car and people relying on you. And a parent at my son's school recognized me from something I did at their house, and I didn't know them. And he came up and hugged me, the dad. I didn't even know who the guy was. So was it worth it? The sleepless nights, the 8:30 to 6:30 a.m., 4 days a week, going to court without going to sleep, was it worth it? Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like people to ask that question because policing is not what it's being shown to be right now in the media and all that. It is a good thing. So I tell you, it was worth it. I would do it again. Throw some support to the good men and women who are out there doing the work.
Yeah. I teach my kids 8, 4, and 1. When they see a police officer, a firefighter, a soldier, they go up and they say, "Thank you for your service."
Right on.
Right.
Right
Now
on.
there's a lot of people. And then there's the 1%. There's a few people that screw it up for it all. But
I'm tired of talking about them though.
Yeah. They shouldn't get any attention.
Exhausted by it. Yeah. I want them out. I'm supportive of that. And I've definitely had my moments where I've seen some people doing stupid stuff on the street and been like, get out of here, as a senior officer or someone who just kicked their ass or something like that. It does happen. But there are good people who do this job who barely get any sleep because it's worth it. So that's the question. Is it worth it?
That's cool. So fellow deal makers, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Mr. Maurice, my new best buddy. As always, reach out to our guests, find a way to do a deal with them. That's the mission and purpose of this show, is to put great people and great deals together. So all their contact information will be in the show notes below. If you're working on a deal, looking for a deal, and you want to talk about it here on the show, head on over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and we'll get you on the show next. Till then, talk to you all on the next episode. See you, everybody. Bad boys, bad boys.